So really like, okay, $12 an hour,
Yeah.
200 grand at what age?
Like 20 years old.
At 20. You're making me look bad. I only made 117 at 20.
But
Normally nobody ever one-ups me on that story. You just freaking destroyed me.
Well, here's the thing, is I'd already watched your video, so I knew what number to come in higher, so it actually worked out pretty good. But I mean, it's you're the perfect living example of that, though, of what a little bit of hard work does with the right amount of effort and the right amount of skill, and then you just, time takes a toll.
If you guys don't know this cat, you have to get to know him, okay? Steve Guilfoile, AffordaCare Insurance out of Dallas, Texas. Sells a ton of health insurance, right? Group self-funded health insurance, which I know is a unique play in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, did you realize that you would be this cool when you grew up? Like you got, exotic cars and an amazing house and a huge company and like 9,000 downline agents across the world. It's like, that's freaking cool.
And same with Cody Askins. That's the chair in the top.
There you go. There you go.
So you've made it when that happens. And so yeah, thank you so much for having me. This
you always do that, dude. He's so good at that to where he pushes it back off, But that says a lot about you. People, like, if they met you, like Nate, they may think of flashy, right? Or a nice watch or a nice car, that kind of stuff. But deep down, you're super humble, good dude. I can tell you care about the industry. I can tell you care about your team. Seeing you interact with your team today has been really cool.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you for coming here. We got a chance to hang out. I interviewed you at SWAT.
Yeah.
On the panel. You had some really good answers on that thing. I went to Nate after. I'm like, this dude's really impressive.
You know what? Before he got here, I was like, which side does Cody sit on normally? He's like, always that side. I'm like, man, he must have a really flashy watch that he likes to show off or whatever. And then I'm like, can't wait to see it. And then there we go.
Wristband.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a watch guy. Maybe I should be. What kind of watch you got?
Just your stereotypical Rolex. Nothing flashy.
Just a Rolex.
But I think that again shows, you see like some of the most successful people, like the multi-billionaires, they're driving a 1960s truck around. They have, clothes that haven't been washed, and they just, because they don't care. They've gone beyond money, and they don't care what people think about them, because a lot of times money is just a enhancement to try to help you feel better about yourself and how other people view you.
Yes. I know. I'd much rather drive an Audi SQ8 than a 60s truck, or, well, I'm sure you've got some cars you'd rather drive than a 60s truck as well.
Yeah, and that's the kind of well, actually, first off, I love that Audi because that's like brand new body style. They had all the touchscreen stuff right inside.
Thank you.
And it's a bad mobile.
Thanks, buddy. All black. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Oh, I would like to have what kind of car should I get? You talked about Audi R8s earlier. There's some nice Ferraris.
Well, I always looked at, like the cars I pick people up from the airport, it was only 2 seats, engine in the back, and so that I would always ask them what kind of luggage are they bringing, because if they bring something too big, we have to just go around and Uber you home. So one person did that, didn't fit in the trunk, and they couldn't fit it on their lap. So it literally was me driving home and then them Ubering behind me. So that's, I guess, talking about kind of goals, that would be like the level of impracticality also kind of helps, I think, your entire focus of where you want to be as a person. So
I love my ride, but nobody can ride with me.
Yeah. So, and I would just say it kind of depends on if you're looking more daily driver, looking for track stuff. Like, do you want some comfort, or do you want just extreme, like me, extreme uncomfortability, potentially no air conditioning, but you're gonna look really good driving it. And
probably something like that, to where it's not like a daily driver. But it's like a weekend kind of car, preferably convertible.
Yeah. You get to the point when you're soaked in sweat, like if you're in Dallas like me.
I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I don't use my AC half the time anyway.
Yeah. No, I think they look great in whatever you do.
Cool. If you had to choose, what would you say for me? I'm
a McLaren guy.
Yeah.
But I know Lambos are really hot right now. Probably a lot more reliable. And I look at it as, if you're gonna go all the way, just go all the way kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Can you agree that's the way that agents should approach their business, by the way, too? What's your opinion on that? Like, just go all the way.
So, a lot of times, and I'm even guilty of this line too, where we talk about how, just like make your part-time income, equal your full-time income, then that's kind of the point to switch of, right? Yeah. How I personally did it is, I was just out of college. I was looking for a job. I had just signed a 30-year note on a house, and I was looking for another job. So I left. So I went to an interview, and he said, hey, you're going to be gone 4 or 5 days a week. You're going to pay all your own gas, groceries, expenses, be in a hotel away from your family, and then you're going to come back and have a couple days on the weekend and do it all over again for the next 5 or 10 years. And I said, that's amazing. That's great. That's exactly what I was looking for. Where do I sign up? And
Wow.
I quit the job the same day that qualified me for my 30-year mortgage. And because I jumped in, because I believed in myself and the talent and everything else and the ability, again, it was me not having any insurance experience, very little sales experience, but just knowing that this was absolutely the only thing I was going to do and I wasn't going to give up on it. I paid off that 30-year mortgage in about 9 months.
Wow.
So if you really, truly commit yourself, I think, and you don't give yourself a plan B, you say it all the time, where your plan A is your plan A and there's no other option.
That's right.
Right? You give yourself that plan B and it takes a lot of the pressure off of you, which a lot of times that positive pressure is one of the best things you can do for yourself.
Yeah. You clearly put your back against the wall. You took some risk and it paid off.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, just the self-belief makes a difference on it.
Yeah. What does 8% mean to you?
So I didn't know what even your version of what it was for like at least a year.
What did you think it was before that? Because people typically don't know what it means, you know?
I think it was some kind of like gang or something that you were like,
okay, like a club?
Yeah, kind of like the 8% Crips or something. And I think I guess now what I know what it means, which I assume half the people like me don't, it's basically that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but 8% of the insurance producers actually end up making it. Correct. Is there any more elaboration?
Typically within the first 3 years, if we had to have add a caveat, but that's accurate.
And is that where they just drop out then?
Correct.
After that point?
Yeah, 92% fell.
Okay.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, and I don't know what that is just as a business owner, right? They say like, half of businesses go bankrupt or fail. And a lot of that's taking that same mindset, that same mentality that you own your own business, you are your own company. Yes. You, in most cases, set your own hours, right?
Yes.
And that is a rare thing for someone who's never done it to just, one, be able to jump in, but two, have the fortitude and the time to go through it. Because every time I look at it, like, perfect example, my first week, again, brand new, and again, we're like the hardest job you could ever imagine, which was literally drive 3 hours from your house, drive down dirt roads, and talk to farmers and ranchers. One, if they were home. Two, if they didn't shoot you or let the dog out on you. You would literally get to the door, introduce yourself, get in the door, sit down, pitch them like an accident policy, who they've never met before, and walk out with a couple $1,000 check for the year paid in full. And then they never see you again. Exactly. That level of trust, not only from the client to you, but the entire process, you could imagine, is a very difficult thing. Yes. Right? It's very scary. It puts us out of our comfort zone.
Yep.
And so I remember that week, I went Monday, knocked on I was ridiculously excited. I was literally, this is the greatest possible career I'll ever have. The number that was pitched to me was you can make 60 grand. And I had never in my life, like no one in my entire town or friend group had ever made that amount, right? So I'm just like, if I literally do this and I just do not give up, this will be like the most earth-changing thing I could have ever had, right? So I just had this absolute blindfold ignorance to just do everything. And the greatest strength I had at the time, I was too dumb and inexperienced to know what not to do. Don't knock on doors after 5 o'clock, don't interrupt their dinner, and all the different limiting things that people kind of self-talk themselves into.
Right.
So I remember I went Monday, no sales. Tuesday, no sales. And this is not just like telephone. This is people slamming the door, swearing at you. Everything, right?
Yeah.
And so I went Wednesday, no sales. Thursday, no sales. And all my other team that I was with, they had all been selling whatever. And again, you have like 300 people with the exact same answer, just like how we all grow up in that same, if you hear the same thing, it kind of means it's probably true, right?
Yep.
And I remember it was like 11:30 at night. Again, I didn't know that you can get shot where we were and everything else, right? So I knock on this door, the light was on, and I still remember them to this day, the nicest old couple ever. And I just remember having the no can fail attitude. Like, I cannot go home. I will literally have my house repossessed.
Yeah. Was this Thursday or Friday?
This was Thursday, because Thursday was the end of the week, of kind of the first week.
Gotcha.
So everyone had left at like 2 o'clock, right? They'd hit their numbers left. And I remember that last appointment, walked in, and at the time it was like a $3,000 check that they literally wrote to me for the entire year.
Wow.
And I'll never forget not only the moment, what they've done for my career, the confidence, and then I remember looking back and saying, dude, if I can do this one time, I can do it again.
That's cool. I'm getting goosebumps.
So even if it's really 300 no's and one yes, I can do 300 more no's and another yes, right? And I'll only get better. I'm not going to get worse.
That's right.
Right? So I remember thinking, though, and I still to this day think about, what if I hadn't knocked on that last door,
correct,
gone that one extra step,
just went home,
and then I ended the week with a 0. I'm going to go in next week, the whole weekend, negative self-talk, everything else,
quit.
the whole next week. Where do you go from there, right?
That's right.
And I think so many people, you've seen that picture where you have the one guy who's like mining for gold. It's like a little tunnel, right?
Yes.
And he stops like just before like the gold or the diamonds, and then the other guy goes all the way through and hits it, right? And it's just that one extra door. And I literally can't think of a better example in my life that defines that more perfectly than that.
I can't either. There's a lot for you guys listening. There's a ton to learn from that, by the way. And Steve, I mean, that's a really impressive. I mean, I want you to ask yourself right now, like, what would you do in that moment? Would you go home, or would you knock on the door at 11:30 at night and do whatever it takes to win? Was that when you first started in the business?
This is my very first week ever. Never sold insurance ever.
How you were promised possibly $60K? How did it pan out?
So, I mean, just to kind of give you the initial number, like my house was about $150,000 when I bought it.
Yep.
And just in what I had paid down, it was literally paid in full by not even the end of that year.
Wow.
And so, again, this is, right out of college. I was used to making $12 an hour.
Yep.
And I would have literally stayed in that job my entire life. And there's so many things that you look back on your life, and this is another one where had I not been fired from that job, had that single day, which was, in my opinion, the worst day of my life, and then having to I just bought a house and do everything else forever, and then either going to another position, pay less, or quit it altogether, and making that decision to, go all in. That is, I think, what most people go with. It's like, I was totally fine and would have been content, and had it not happened, I would still be at that same job, making the same money, maybe a couple dollars more, right?
Yeah.
Bump up minimum wage. But other than that, it's incredible to think about how those things impact your life.
Yeah. What was your first year number? Do you remember?
So it was just under about like 200,000 of commission.
Wow. So really $12 an hour.
Yeah.
200 grand at what age?
Like 20 years old.
At 20. You're making me look bad. I only made 117 at 20. Normally nobody ever one-ups me on that story. You just freaking destroyed me.
Well, here's the thing. Is I'd already watched your video, so I knew what number to come in higher, so it actually worked out pretty good. But I mean, it's you're the perfect living example of that, though, of what a little bit of hard work does with the right amount of effort and the right amount of skill, and then that's right. Time takes a toll on it.
Yeah, it really does. It's like a snowball effect, and most people think you got to have like an unreal amount of skill. We were not the best salespeople in the world when we first started. I guarantee you that. Maybe natural a little bit.
No, super funny story actually. So I remember the first presentation I did with my training manager, and I remember. No, my manager is gone. So this was actually just another agent who had only been here for a week as well. So we were just the blind leading the blind, right? And I remember my first presentation, and we had everything trained up in terms of how to read the brochure and everything else, super overly scripted, right? I remember walking through the entire thing, flipping the page, doing everything they said, give 3 prices, circle the top 2, and then let them decide, right? First one that talks loses, right?
Exactly.
Your typical playbook stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I remember her looking up at me and saying, "Sweetie, this must be your first time ever doing this." And I was like, yeah, I did really bad. And I'm even thinking that, right? I'm like, oh my God, I'm messing up.
Did you say that out loud?
She said that to me.
And what'd you say?
And I said, well, yeah. And she ended up buying it. So
wow.
Again, I didn't keep in that money because it went to the manager or whatever, and that was a learning thing. So I had seen whispers of success, but again, it is such and you talk about that 8%, to go back to that, so much that people that are giving up, it's not fully committing to it, either while they're going full time into it.
That's right.
Or the willingness to leave it. And I think half of it is the agency they're working with. I mean, there are some really, really, really bad agents and agencies out there that take extreme advantage of their agents, have them work a whole lot of time and keep very little money. And so, yes, I think in some cases the deck is stacked against them.
I think a lot of times it is too. Yeah, I really do, because it's like a lot of work, little money, no leads. Like I didn't get any leads when I started either.
Yeah.
Very little training. Maybe a lot of product training, but it's like, who flipping cares, you know?
Yeah.
No sales training at all. No role plays. No ride-alongs. You know, nobody like like your buddy Shane sitting there working on your goals and the outlook and your future and your ideal life and all of that. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think the 8% statistic is so poor, and it's the worst in any industry on the planet, by the way. Like real estate is a little easier statistically.
No way.
Really, it's like anywhere between 9 and 13%. Someone told me and I forgot, but I know it was worse than 8 because I've heard that multiple times. But yeah, it's crazy because that's why the industry is so difficult.
Right.
You know?
So real estate agents out there, 13% nation.
Yeah. We're gonna have to start our real estate conference.
Yeah.
Steve and I.
All right.
I don't know. Only thing I know about real estate is I've bought 4 houses and a storage facility.
Yeah.
That's just because I like moving, apparently. But
well, and I think that's another really good thing. Like the fact that we're so specialized in what we do. I love real estate. It's a great passive way, and it's a great thing. It's like, all right, I made this money. Now what do I do with it, right?
Yeah.
But it is such for me, I just say I'm specialized in this, and then I'm going to defer it or lean on someone that's an expert in it. So instead of me learning everything, getting distracted for sure of what that will do to your nest egg, and then being like, oh, I'm gonna start a real estate company or whatever, and you start doing this, it's every time you divert out. And I look at it, and again, like, so even though the early beginnings of that were really, really good, when I started my own agency, because again, like every agent thinks, hey, I made some sales, I can just do the whole thing. I run the whole company, right?
Yeah.
So, and I saw a lot of things that, again, everything you'd mentioned, right? Taking the time, treating agents how they want to be treated, everything else. And I was like, I'm not going to make these same mistakes. So I knew how to treat people. I knew how I didn't want to be treated. But what I had no idea of is the entire part of running a business and every other aspect to that. So we had started out good, but again, like we had some months and some years where I think at one point I was about, and no one actually knows this, you're the first person I told this to, but after starting the CA exclusive, it was something like, and I had a business partner at the time that kind of had made some bad decisions, and I was essentially the one fronting the money. I'd come in, hey, I'm doing great, gotten into some bad things, whatever, and I basically was about just over $300,000 in credit card debt at 22 to 26% interest.
Wow.
So
and what age was this?
This was like 5 years ago.
Wow.
Right? And so I'm 33 now.
Okay.
And so
you're old.
Leaving that, ancient, because you're what, 31?
31 now, yeah.
So yeah, I have the first year, but then again, you got 2 years to catch up. So actually, I got to be chasing you out. But I guess at the end of the day, it just, when you go to college, sure, you might pay like 200 grand or whatever for 100 grand for the college. You're in debt that much, whatever. But you learn so much more about life and about business than when you actually lose $200,000 of your own money. That's a learning experience, and you can't really. I don't know if someone could have taught me that. I don't think someone could have said do this or whatever instead of this, because I haven't had the pain. Kind of like if you have kids and they touch the stove, you tell them don't do it, and then they do it, and then they don't never do it again. Right? You need to have some of that personal pain to have learned those experiences, right? And
like all that door knocking that we both did. I did residential for burial life insurance. You did residential farms for accident.
I just had dirt on my roads and you have pavement. That's the only difference, really.
That's right. And my car was cleaner at the end of the day, But.
Yeah. So I guess, where I guess left off is essentially really, really, really difficult to start it. But then it's that constant belief again from even day one and knowing like, hey, we have the right people, we have the right products, we have everything else. And this is just a really crappy experience that we have to get through.
A lot of people struggle with that, man. Like the personal confidence and belief and to just keep going. What would you say to somebody that's watching that's like, you know what, I really need to just not quit. I need to go for this thing. I've got a good opportunity if I don't give up,
Well, ultimately somebody it kind of that other example we're talking about. They make that exotic car, they make that McLaren for somebody, right? Someone's going to buy it. And if it's truly something that you want enough, that could be you. I mean, there's nothing that says that this is reserved for this person or whatever before it's made, you know? And I guess just, I've really always operated on that mindset that like, someone's going to have it, might as well be you.
Totally.
So long story short, going back to that whole thing, got out of it, and basically for the last 8 years, we've had triple digit. This year is nearly 1,000% increase year over year of true net revenue.
Wow.
And it wouldn't have, again, you could have had that jump out moment, but again, it's always been about people. And I feel like not only if you treat people right, how, you know, we'd want to be treated, I think everything takes care of itself, because just like, again, like everybody that you work with, they love the culture and everything else of who you are.
Thanks, buddy. It's fun.
So yeah, it's just knowing that you're going to get through it, knowing there's dark days, and knowing that if you truly want it, that you can do anything.
That's good. You're struggling out there. Like, that was the message you need to hear at this point, right? Well, another question. I'm curious how you would answer this, and I think I know. We're about to find out.
All right.
Okay.
Write on a piece of paper, and then we'll compare answers.
Yeah, there you go.
All
okay. If you had to leave insurance and join a completely different industry, let's just say it was like real estate, like we talked about earlier, and you had to go all in, and you could never do insurance ever again.
Okay.
You're banned forever.
All right.
What is the first thing you would do?
So it's super funny you asked that, and we did not plan this.
We didn't plan it at all.
My dream job in 8-year-old Steven was not a firefight, astronaut, whatever. It was to be a Lamborghini car salesman. Yeah. Just to be in that room and be able to sell them and stuff like that. Being passionate about that. And again, I'm not necessarily. At first I wasn't a car guy, but it just became such a culture and everything. I guess with it. So I guess maybe car sales, but at the end of the day, I think just the most important thing for anybody is just, and it may not be insurance. Again, it's something that you got to be kind of passionate about. You got to be kind of nerdy with it.
That's right.
And again, I think we have the most boring industry aside from maybe banking.
Yeah.
But what we do is every single day, like my entire day is meeting new people and being a professional friend maker.
Yeah.
And so I think anything that you put your mind at, I think for me, that would fit that mold, right? And usually you can go through that.
To learn and succeed in that, as a Lamborghini salesperson, like in that example, what's one of the first things you would do to like help yourself out because you're joining a new industry, you know?
Yeah, so unlike a traditional dealership or whatever, and again, I've no car sales experience, but that is definitely one where, and I've said this 100 times, connections over selling. So what I mean by that is you can door to door cold call everybody and sell people, or you can connect with people and add value as a person, and then and inherently doing business afterwards. So I think that's probably the biggest thing as far as those high-end cars. You got to find somebody, network with the people that can do that and bring it in organically.
That's good.
Because again, they can buy insurance from anybody, and so you have to do something to have them buy it for you. And just like how we feel with a lot of our agents, they can sell insurance for anybody. And that's what a lot of people, I think, a lot of agencies that are saying, this is our model, don't change, you don't want to look anywhere else. If they're saying that, it probably means they're scared of what you'd see out there.
Yeah, you're bringing them to other events, you're not afraid to bring your people to other events, because you know what you have.
Yeah, and so at the end of the day, it's, that whole thing, you can sell insurance for anybody. So what do we need to do to not only differentiate ourselves, but add value where not only they're actually better off. So basically, like especially on the group side, right? We're giving a better contract than they could ever get on their own. So right there, they're already ahead. And then all the systems, the back end, the leads that go with it, and making sure that the clients they have are being well taken care of and respected and done the right way. Because we talk about shortcuts and how that leads to other things, making sure that there's all the training, everything with it. And again, every single recipe for success is done within that.
Yeah, that's a good answer too. Because I was thinking two things. First answer was thinking like, I'm gonna go like learn, YouTube or hire a coach or like personal development. Yeah. For that industry, right? Self-improvement. And then the second was like, there's definitely network for sure. So, which is phenomenal.
And to talk about kind of the personal stuff, we met with Coach Burt before. Yeah. Nate is amazing, offered. And so much of, I think, what you guys do and bring to the table is so rare. There's not any people that you'll ever come across that genuinely actually want you to improve and be a better person.
Thanks,
and that's, I think, what a lot of the people that you've brought together are all about. And that is an extremely rare and fleeting thing in just the world today.
I appreciate
So
that.
keep doing that, and I
Thanks, bro.
think that's where a huge part of your successes come from.
Thank you. I love that. Last question.
All right.
You and Nate offered,
All right.
if you had to go sell to farmers selling accident insurance,
Okay.
and you had 30 days, and you had to go separately,
Okay.
who would win?
I would take 29 days off, work a couple minutes the first day, because I know he's gonna be wearing those like dragon silk shirts with the fancy colors and stuff.
They're not gonna
with
let him in the
boots and
door.
everything else, and they're not gonna. Well, first of all, he's not gonna get out of his car to walk on the dirt for it. So I'm not worried.
I know he's going to watch this.
Yeah.
That's why I had to do that. That's good. That's good. Who's, overall, better salesperson? No matter what you're selling.
Between me and Nate,
Yeah.
I'd say Nate, because he has a way
He's very
of
good.
just mentally manipulating people just to do on a whole new
Totally.
level. And again, you look at us, we're in our 30s.
Yeah.
He's, I don't know, I assume
He's
60 or something years old, right?
100, yeah.
And
Lot
you
older.
imagine I look at myself, 10 years ago, if I could go back in time and be in high school,
Yeah.
you would be probably more of a cool high school kid than you even are, already
sure.
were, right? Because we have so much more life experience and stuff like that.
I can't
so
imagine.
I look at it as you take my life now and double it. And that's essentially like the head start we have on Nate.
Yeah.
So I think he's an incredible guy, extremely he's again, like so much of the things that we do and help
Yeah.
and how we treat people is from how he's treated me and how he treats the
For
people
sure.
that we know, right?
He's just very old.
Yes. But imagine of any age of whatever you are, imagine how far you can get with that much time, whatever. So it was
right.
so great to be here. Thank you so much for having
Dude,
us.
thank you, buddy.
Absolutely, buddy.
I've had a blast. Okay, go look this dude up. How if they want to reach out to you, follow you, whatever, how do they do that?
I guess you put a link in your YouTube channel, whatever, however that goes. But it would just be AffordaCareInsurance.com. There's a contact page, a career page. You can go through that. And again, almost every single state in the country, there's a manager and officer. We have offices in 45 states. So there's actually going to be a true hands-on thing, just like you have here, that you're going to have from soup to nut, every single aspect
you have
of
offices
everything.
in 45 states.
Yeah, so you could almost think kind of like a franchise model where it's all the same type of stuff. Not obviously like a 2000.
This dude's more of a player than I thought.
And no, because it's just empowering people to give
Cool,
them a
though.
track to run on, and then basically giving them ownership of this, that. So basically the whole purpose of it is investing in them and allowing the opportunity. So
huge.
all the support and everything else. And
That's huge. You have an Instagram?
yes, I need to remember. I was telling your wife or whatever, I didn't
tag it
know.
earlier.
I didn't know my password, so I need to
Gotcha.
get my phone and do it. So
Cool.
I'll
Look
get
him
it.
up. How do you spell your last name? Steve and Guilfoile.
Yep. Guilfoile.
Perfect. Steve Guilfoile, AffordaCare Insurance, Dallas, Texas. This dude is a beast. We'll both see it 8%. Okay, thanks for spending time
Absolutely.
with me.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're gonna love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there. Boom! Hey, one of the biggest things I get asked, man, is, dude, how do I go from 0 to 6 figures? And I'm gonna talk through some of the stuff in the book right now of how you can do this, because you can. I'm telling you, if I did it, you can too.